The ice in her glass made a sound like tiny bells every time she stirred it. That was the only interesting thing about the date. We were sitting in one of those trendy food court wine bars wedged inside the Fashion Valley Mall in San Diego. Bright lights, fake plants, too loud music. People walked past with shopping bags and perfect hair. It felt like everyone was on vacation except me. My name is Lucas Hayes. I live in San Diego, and I work as a forensic accountant for an insurance company. In simple words, I look at numbers when someone thinks they are being scammed, and I find the lie. I am good at reading patterns. Tonight the pattern said this date was a bad idea. So when he left the toilet seat up again, I told him that was emotional abuse. My date said, swirling the ice in her sangria like she was casting a spell. Her name was Jenna. My coworker set us up. She was in her late 30s, nice dress, lots of makeup, and she had not asked me a single question about my life in the last 30 minutes. Right, I said, taking a sip of my soda. Emotional abuse. She nodded hard. Exactly. I need a man who listens, she said. My therapist says I deserve that. She glanced down at her phone again. Her thumb moved fast over the screen. A notification flashed from another dating app. I looked at the reflection in the window beside us. I saw my own face, my gray t-shirt, my quiet expression, and the way I sat slightly angled away like I was already halfway out the door. That was when I felt the air change. It was subtle. The smell of the place shifted under the wine and food. A hint of jasmine and salt water wrapped around me like a memory. The fine hairs on my arms rose before my brain understood why. I looked toward the walkway and saw her. Rebecca Hart moved through the crowd like she owned the floor. Dark hair in a loose twist, simple white blouse, dark jeans, leather sandals. No flashy jewelry, just a silver bracelet and a small gold necklace I had seen 100 times. She carried 2 shopping bags in one hand and a coffee in the other. She was my best friend's mom. She was also the first woman I ever had a crush on. I met her when I was 12, and my friend Tyler dragged me over to his house to play video games. Rebecca had brought us pizza and asked me how school was like I was an actual person, not just Tyler's friend. I spent the next 10 years trying not to stare every time she walked into a room. Now she was walking straight toward me. She saw me before I could decide what to do. Her eyes flicked to Jenna, to the wine glass, back to me. A slow, amused smile curved her mouth. So, she said, stopping beside our table, you do like older women. Her voice was low and warm. Then she added, softer, interesting. Heat punched the back of my neck. I almost knocked over my soda. Jenna blinked and sat up straighter. Do you two know each other? She asked. I swallowed. Yeah, I said. This is Rebecca. She is Tyler's mom. My best friend. Rebecca's eyes held mine for a beat too long, like she was trying to read every thought in my head. It is good to see you, Lucas, she said. You clean up well. She did not give me a chance to reply. She gave Jenna a polite, unreadable nod and then stepped back into the flow of people. Enjoy your night, she said over her shoulder. Then she was gone, lost in the moving crowd, shopping bags swinging at her side. My heart was beating way too fast for a casual run-in at the mall. Jenna studied my face. She is pretty, she said. You never mentioned your friend has a hot mom. I forced a small smile. It never came up, I said. She took another sip of her drink and went back to her story about her ex and his gym habits, but my brain was stuck on Rebecca's words. You do like older women. Interesting. The thing is, she was not wrong. Most of the women I had been drawn to in the last few years were a little older, more grounded, less interested in games. I had tried dating girls my own age. It always felt like homework. With older women, it felt like the room had already grown up, and I could finally relax. But Rebecca was in a different category. Off limits. Untouched. Until she looked at me like that. By the time I walked Jenna to her car and did the polite, this was fun routine, my head was somewhere else entirely. The night air outside the mall was cool and smelled like asphalt and sea breeze. I sat in my car for a minute, staring at my phone. No new messages from Tyler. One from an unknown number. It was short. You looked miserable. Ma. I stared at the letter. R. My chest tightened. I typed back before I could overthink it. You were not supposed to see that. Her reply came fast. Bad blind date? Painful. I added a smiley face, then deleted it. I did not want to look like a kid. I settled on. You, she replied, mall run, supplies for the restaurant, and a new coffee mug I did not need. That sounded like her. Half practical, half soft. You could have come over for dinner, she added. Tyler says you live off takeout. I smiled in the dark car. That is slander, I wrote. I also eat cereal. Her answer was delayed this time. For a second, I wondered if I had crossed a line. Then my phone buzzed again. Come by tomorrow, she wrote. I could use help with something. Noon? My pulse jumped. Sure, I typed. I will be there. I knew I should ask what she needed help with. I knew I should treat it like any other favor for a friend's parent. But the truth was simple. If Rebecca Hart asked me to show up, I was going to show up. The next day, the sun over Mission Bay was bright enough to make the water look like broken glass. Rebecca's place, the Dockside, sat right on the boardwalk. It was a small, worn restaurant with blue trim, a chalkboard menu, and chairs that always needed repainting. It also felt more like home to me than any house I had ever lived in. I walked in the side door, past the kitchen. The smell of garlic, grilled fish, and fresh bread wrapped around me. The lunch rush had not hit yet. 2 line cooks prepped vegetables. Someone laughed in Spanish near the walk-in. Rebecca stood at the far end of the kitchen with a clipboard in her hand. She wore jeans, a gray Dockside t-shirt, and her hair pulled back into a messy knot. There was a smear of flour on her forearm. She looked tired and beautiful and absolutely in charge. She glanced up, saw me, and her shoulders relaxed a little. You came, she said. You told me to, I said. I am very obedient. She snorted. That is a lie, she said. You and Tyler used to break every rule I had. Only the dumb ones, I said. She smiled, and it did something to my chest that I did not want to think about. Come with me, she said. She led me through a narrow hallway to a small office at the back. It was barely big enough for a desk, a filing cabinet, and a corkboard covered in old photos, invoices, and sticky notes. She closed the door behind us. The sound of the kitchen faded. The space felt suddenly small. So, I said, trying to sound casual, you needed help with something? Rebecca handed me the clipboard. I got this yesterday, she said. I have read it 3 times and I still want to throw up. It was a letter on heavy paper, an official letterhead. My brain switched modes on instinct. Notice of lease termination. I scanned it quickly. New owner. Rent increase. 30 days to accept the new terms or vacate. The numbers were not just high. They were impossible. Whoever had sent this was not expecting her to stay. They were planning on her leaving. Who owns the building now? I asked. Some company called Pacific Vista Holdings, she said. They bought the block last month. I thought it meant maybe a fresh coat of paint and fixing the pipes. Instead, they want to triple my rent. Her voice was steady, but her hands were not. She shoved them into her back pockets like she could hide the tremor. I can't pay this, Lucas, she said. I can barely keep up as it is. If I sign this, I drown. If I don't, I lose everything. She laughed once, flat. Sorry, she said. You came here for lunch, not a meltdown. I set the clipboard on the desk. No, I said. I came because you said you needed help. She looked at me, really looked this time. Her eyes searched my face like she was trying to decide if I was still the kid who ate her French fries or someone else entirely. You do numbers, she said slowly. Insurance, right? Fraud stuff? Fraud, extortion, creative accounting, I said. People who think no one is watching. Quote. I tapped the letter. This smells bad, I said. Give me everything you have. Old lease, any emails, any notices you got when the ownership changed. She hesitated. Why? She asked. Because this is what I do, I said. I fix problems like this. Or at least, I try. And what do you get out of it? She asked. I could have said experience. I could have said, you can pay me if it works. I could have made a joke. I told her the truth instead. I get to not watch you lose this place, I said. Silence settled between us, thick and charged. Her throat moved as she swallowed. This is unfair to you, she said quietly. You are my son's best friend. I should be the one helping you. You did, I said, for 10 years. Pizza, rides, talking Tyler down when he wanted to drop out of school. Let me do this. She looked at the door, then back at me. You are not a kid anymore, are you? She said. No, I said, I am not. Her eyes softened, then sharpened again. Okay, she said. You are hired, Mr. Hayes, for the very low price of 1 staff meal per visit and the right to tell me if I am being stupid. I smiled. Deal, I said. I picked up the letter again, already rearranging the pieces in my head. New owner. Sudden hike. Short deadline. Same pattern I had seen 1,000 times in case files where someone wanted to force a sale. As I read, I felt Rebecca move closer to look over my shoulder. Her perfume, light and warm, hit me again. My pulse stuttered. She spoke near my ear. Lucas, she said softly. Yeah? I replied, not looking up. For the record, she said, about last night. My shoulders tensed. Seeing you on that date, she went on, it bothered me more than it should have. I turned my head. Our faces were closer than I expected. Her eyes were serious now, not teasing. So, she said, a faint color rising in her cheeks, if we are working together, we might need some rules. My heart gave a hard, solid thump. Rules, I repeated. She nodded once. Before this gets complicated, she said. If she had handed me a live grenade, I would have felt less nervous. Rules? I repeated, because my brain had decided to stop providing new words. Rebecca stepped back just enough to lean against the edge of the desk. The tiny office made even that small distance feel close. Yeah, she said. Rules. My name is Lucas, and for someone who reads contracts all day, I had never been more afraid of terms and conditions in my life. What kind of rules? I asked. She folded her arms, thinking. Then she looked me right in the eyes. First, she said, we keep this professional. You are helping me with a business problem, not my personal life. Okay, I said. That one was safe. Second, she continued, no flirting. That one hit harder. I opened my mouth to argue that I had not flirted. Then my brain played back every time I had smiled too long or let my eyes linger on her hands, her mouth, her laugh. I do not flirt with you, I said. She raised one eyebrow. Just one. You used to blush when I said your name, she said. You think I did not notice? Heat crawled up my neck. I was a kid, I said. Her expression gentled. You are not anymore, she said. That is what scares me. Silence filled the space between us. The sounds of the kitchen filtered through the door. Someone shouted an order. A pan clanged. Third rule, she said, looking away for a second. You do not tell Tyler. That one stung more than I expected. You think he would be mad? I asked. I think he would feel weird about his mom needing help from his friend, she said. This is my mess, Lucas. I should not have to rely on you at all. You are not weak because you need help, I said. Her mouth twisted. Tell that to my pride, she replied. She pushed off the desk and reached for a folder from the cabinet, ending the moment. Old lease is in here, she said. Emails from the property manager, too. Knock yourself out. We spent the next hour going through every piece of paper related to the Dockside's lease. Rebecca paced the small office while I sat in her chair and read. I made notes on a legal pad, circled dates, underlined names. The original lease was 10 years old, signed when her parents still owned the restaurant. They had left it to her when they retired to Arizona. The terms were decent, the increases reasonable. Then, 3 months ago, a new company bought the building and sent a notice about modernizing agreements. The new draft lease was a trap. Triple rent, personal guarantee. A clause that allowed them to terminate with 30 days' notice for redevelopment needs. No promise to renew. They were not offering her stability. They were offering her a slow death or a fast one, her choice. I flipped back to the letter. Have you talked to a lawyer? I asked. I talked to 3, she said. 2 said I should start looking for a new location. The third said he could fight it, but his retainer fee was more than my monthly food cost. Typical. I looked at the letterhead again. Pacific Vista Holdings. It rang a faint bell in the back of my mind. "Can I run a search?" I asked. She waved a hand. "You are the expert," she said. "I just cook fish." "You run a whole business," I said. "Give yourself some credit." She let out a breath and walked to the doorway. "I need to get back to the kitchen," she said. "Lunch crowd is about to hit. Use the office. If you need food, yell." She paused, hand on the doorframe. "And Lucas?" she added. "Yeah?" I asked. Her lips curved into a small, wry smile. "Rule 4, she said. "If I panic, you do not say, 'I told you so.'" Quote, "I never say that," I said. "You think it?" She shot back. She was not wrong. When she left, the office felt even smaller. I pulled out my laptop, connected to my hotspot, and started digging. Pacific Vista Holdings was not just any new landlord. They were part of a web of LLCs that owned a string of waterfront properties from San Diego up to Santa Barbara. Small marinas, old diners, bait shops, all marked under redevelopment on their glossy website. Most of the businesses they had bought out did not exist anymore. The few that did were part of mixed-use lifestyle communities, with polished logos and bland charm. They had a pattern: buy aging properties cheap, squeeze the owners, flip the land. I checked the city development records. There it was, an application filed 2 weeks ago to explore opportunities for a new luxury condo project on the Dockside's block. Nothing final, but enough to show their hand. They did not want her higher rent. They wanted her gone. Someone knocked on the doorframe. I looked up. Rebecca leaned in, holding a plate. "Thought you might want this," she said. "Fish tacos, rice, grilled vegetables." It smelled like every good memory of this place. "Payment in advance," I said. She smiled a little. "Bribe, actually," she said. "Have you found anything?" Quote. "Yeah," I said, taking a bite. "They are sharks." She sighed and leaned against the file cabinet, arms crossed. "Of course they are," she said. I picked the worst time to get old. "You are not old," I said around a mouthful, then swallowed quickly. "Sorry, that came out." "Honest?" she asked. Her eyes were on me now, weighing my answer. "You are. You," I said stupidly. "You run circles around half the people my age." She looked away, but the corner of her mouth lifted. "You always did say the right thing by accident," she said. We went through the printouts together. I showed her the condo application, the pattern with other small businesses, the way the new lease had been written to push her out. "So what do we do?" she asked. "First," I said, "we do not sign anything. Second, we find out if they broke any rules when they bought this place." I pulled a sticky note off her board and started writing down a list. "Did anyone from the city talk to you before the sale?" I asked. "Any notices? Zoning meetings?" She shook her head. "No," she said. "Just a letter from the old owner saying the building was sold and my lease would roll over. Then, 3 weeks later, this." My pen paused. "The old owner," I said slowly. "You trusted him." "He has known my parents for 30 years, she said. "He used to come in for coffee every Sunday. He was at my wedding." I remembered him vaguely. Tall gray hair, kind smile. The kind of man you did not expect to do anything shady. Shady people relied on that. "Can I see that letter?" I asked. She frowned. "I think I filed it at home," she said. "Your place tonight?" I asked, then realized how that sounded. I mean, for the letter and any other town paperwork. Her eyes flicked to mine. Something unreadable moved across her face. "Yeah," she said after a beat. "I am working dinner shift, but you can come by after. 8? "Okay," I said. "I will bring my laptop." "And dessert." She smiled. A real one this time. "Bringing dessert might break rule 2, she said. "That is not flirting," I protested. "It is dangerously close," she said, and left before I could argue. By the time 8 o'clock rolled around, I had run through 3 different scenarios in my head, most of them ending with me saying something stupid on her couch. Her house was a small bungalow 10 minutes from the restaurant. I had been there countless times with Tyler. It felt different walking up alone with a box of brownies in my hands. She opened the door before I could knock twice. Her hair was down now, curling slightly at the ends. She had changed into soft-looking black leggings and an oversized navy sweatshirt that said Dockside across the front. She was barefoot. If the restaurant version of Rebecca was sharp and focused, this version was softer, but no less strong. "You brought dessert," she said, eyeing the box. "I thought it might soften the blow if I find something bad," I said. She stepped aside to let me in. Her place smelled like cinnamon and laundry detergent. The living room was cozy, with a worn gray couch, a coffee table scarred from years of use, and family photos along the wall. Pictures of Tyler in various stages of awful haircuts. A few of him and me together, playing video games, holding fishing rods, grinning like idiots. On the mantel, there was an older photo of Rebecca and her ex-husband. He had been gone for years now. That picture always felt like a ghost. "You can put your stuff on the table," she said, heading toward the kitchen. "Want coffee?" "Yeah, thanks," I said, setting my laptop bag and the brownies down. She came back with the letter, some city envelopes, and 2 mugs. She set them on the table and sat beside me, not across. Close enough that our knees brushed when we both reached for the same paper. "Sorry," we both said at the same time, then laughed, the tension popping for a second. I focused on the documents. The original letter from the former owner was there. So were notices about a redevelopment study I suspected she had not fully read. On the coffee table, my knee was still touching hers. She did not move it. I circled phrases in the letter with a pen. "This part," I said, tapping the line where he promised, quote, "minimal impact on existing tenants." If he knew they planned to redevelop when he wrote this, and he misled you on purpose, there is a case. She leaned closer to see. I felt her hair brush my arm. It raised goosebumps I pretended not to notice. "Do you think he knew?" she asked. "I do not know yet," I said. "But someone fast-tracked that condo application. That usually requires friends in the right places." "Friends with money," she said. "We worked like that for over an hour, reading, marking, connecting dots. The TV stayed off. The world shrank to pages and pens and the quiet sound of our breathing." At some point, I realized she was watching me instead of the papers. "What?" I asked. She shook her head. "You get this look when you are solving something," she said. "Like you are somewhere else. It is intense." "Is that a complaint?" I asked. "No," she said softly. "It is impressive." Compliments from her felt different, heavier. "Rebecca," I said before I could stop myself. "About last night, what you said. About it bothering you?" She held my gaze. "I meant it," she said. "I did not like seeing you on a date with someone who did not care if you were there." My throat went dry. "I have dated," I said. "It is not a big deal." "Maybe not to you," she said. "It was to me." My heart hammered so loud I was sure she could hear it. "Rule check," I said quietly. "No flirting, remember?" Her eyes flicked to my mouth and back. "I am not flirting," she said. "I am telling you the truth." That made it worse in the best possible way. I forced myself to look back at the papers. "We need a plan," I said. "They have the money, the lawyers, the city on their side. You have me, and a lot of customers who love your food. And a kid who cannot keep secrets," she added with a small laugh, nodding at a photo of Tyler. "Tyler is in Denver for another 3 months," I said. "We do not tell him until we have something solid. Agreed?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Agreed," she said. I underlined another line in the notice. "Tomorrow," I said, "I am going to look deeper into Pacific Vista. If I am right, this is not just about you. They have squeezed out half a dozen small places like yours up the coast. If we can prove a pattern, we might get the city's attention." "And if you are wrong?" she asked. "Then I still stand beside you when you walk out of that building for the last time," I said, "but I am not planning on being wrong." She stared at me like I had just said something in a different language. "Lucas," she said finally, "why are you doing this, really?" "Because you are the first person who ever made me feel seen. Because I have been in love with you since I was old enough to know what that meant. Because the idea of this place closing feels like someone erasing my whole childhood." I could not say any of that. "Because I can," I said instead. "Because I hate bullies. And because I like seeing you win." She swallowed. "That last one," she said quietly. That is the one that scares me. She looked down at our knees, still touching, and did not move away. The first threat showed up wearing a polo shirt and a fake smile. 3 days after our couch war room, I was back at the Dockside with my laptop open on the bar. The lunch rush had ended. A few late customers lingered over coffee. Sunlight spilled through the big front windows, making the ocean look calmer than my brain. I had spent the morning in my office digging into Pacific Vista. The more I read, the worse it smelled. Every time they bought a block, small family places vanished. In 2 towns, there were complaints filed with the city. Both had gone nowhere. "Refill?" Maria, the server, asked, nodding at my empty coffee cup. "Please," I said. The front door opened. A man in his 50s walked in like he owned the tide. Tan, short gray hair, pressed polo with the Pacific Vista logo on the chest. He looked around, spotted the bar, and headed straight for me. "Afternoon," he said. "You must be Lucas." I did not like that he knew my name. "And you are?" I asked. He slid a business card across the bar. "Mark Denton," he said. "Property manager for this block. Rebecca around?" The card was real. The name matched one of the emails from the company. "She is in the back," I said. "Busy." He smiled like that word was a joke. "Tell her Mark is here," he said. "She will want to talk to me. We are practically partners now." I held his gaze for a second. Then I turned and tapped the bell at the pass window. "Rebecca," I called. "Visitor." She came out wiping her hands on a towel. When she saw him, her shoulders tightened. "Mark," she said, "we are open until 9. If you want food, you do not need an appointment." "I am here as a courtesy," he said, fake smile still in place, "to remind you about the lease deadline. We need your answer by Friday." "That is 2 weeks early," she said. He shrugged. "We like to move fast," he said. "You know how it is. Investors, schedules, all that fun stuff." He glanced at my laptop, then at me. "And I see your friend is still here," he added. "Lucas is helping me understand the new terms," she said. His smile thinned. "I see," he said. "Well, no need to stretch this out. You sign the new lease, you get to stay. You do not sign, we enforce the terms. Simple." "You raise the rent to a number I cannot pay," she said. "That is not simple. That is a setup." Mark leaned on the bar like we were swapping recipes. "Look," he said, "you run a great little spot, really, but the area is changing. You can take a nice buyout and start over somewhere cheaper. Inland, maybe. Food trucks are big now." My jaw clenched. Rebecca's fingers tightened on the towel. I saw the way she swallowed before she spoke. "I built my life here," she said. "My customers are here. I am not a line on your project map. I am a person." Mark's eyes cooled. "You are a tenant," he said. "And you have 60 days left on this lovely old lease. When it is done, you are month to month. We can end it any time with notice. That is the deal your parents signed." He tapped the bar twice. "I am trying to give you options," he added. "I would hate to see this place boarded up." He was still smiling when he said it. I slid my laptop around so he could see the screen. "I have been looking at Pacific Vista's history," I said. "Santa Barbara, Ventura, Leucadia. You say you give people options. What I see is a pattern. Squeeze the small places until they fold, then post the under redevelopment signs." Mark's smile did not break, but his hand moved off the bar. "You have too much time on your hands," he said. "You should be careful where you poke around, son." "I am not your son," I said. "And Rebecca is not alone in this." Rebecca touched my forearm. "Lucas," she murmured. It was a warning and a thank you at the same time. Mark straightened. "Deadline is Friday," he said. "I strongly recommend you do not listen to advice from someone who will not be here when the dust clears." Quote. He slid a folded packet out of a folder and tapped it on the bar. "Last offer," he said. "After that, the lawyers take over." He left without looking back. When the door closed, the room felt bigger and smaller at the same time. Rebecca picked up the packet like it might bite her. "He is right about one thing," she said quietly. "You will not be here when the dust clears. You have a job, a life." "I have a laptop and a car," I said. "I can be where I need to be." She shook her head and moved toward the office. "Come on," she said. "Let us see what they are so eager for me to sign." We went back to the office. She dropped into the chair, and I leaned against the corner of the desk. She opened the packet. It was the same lease draft, with one new page at the back. A, quote, goodwill bonus if she agreed to vacate within 90 days. Enough money to look tempting if you did not understand how fast it would burn. "So he comes in here with his salesman smile," she said. "He waves this at me, and I hand him my keys." "It is a bribe," I said, "and a bad one." Quote, she let the packet fall to the desk. "I feel stupid," she said. "I have been reading this thing for weeks, and I still needed you to tell me that." "You are not stupid," I said. "You are busy running a whole place. You are tired. They count on that." She rubbed her forehead with the heel of her hand. "I hate needing you," she said softly. That hit harder than any insult. "You do not need me," I said. "You could fight this alone. It would just be slower and harder. I want to help. That is different." Her hand dropped. She looked up at me. Her eyes were shiny, but she was not crying. "You are going to make me like you," she said. "That is against the rules." My heart tripped. "I thought the rule was no flirting," I said. "Liking me was never banned." She gave a short, shaky laugh. "Do not test me, Lucas," she said. We sat there for a beat, the air thick. I broke it by grabbing a pen. "Okay," I said. "Here's what we do. We find someone they pushed out who was willing to talk. If we can show the city this is their pattern, they may not be so eager to rubber stamp that condo plan." Quote, "You think the city cares?" she asked. "Sometimes," I said, "especially if the press cares first." Her eyes sharpened. "You would take this public," she said. "If we have to," I said, "but we build the case before we shout." She was quiet for a long second. "This is bigger than me," she said. "It is," I agreed, "but you are where it hits the ground." She nodded slowly. "Okay," she said. "If we do this, we do it right. No half measures." We spent the rest of the afternoon calling numbers I had found for former tenants. A bakery owner in Ventura, a bait shop guy in Oceanside. Half did not answer, one hung up, two called back. What they said matched the pattern. Sudden rent spikes. Take it or leave it offers. Notices taped to doors. Promises that turned into rubble. By the time the sun started to sink, the office felt heavy with other people's losses. Rebecca slumped back in her chair. "If they did it to all those people," she said, "what makes you think I can beat them?" Quote, "Because you have someone on your side who knows how they move now," I said. "And because we have something they do not." "What is that?" she asked. "Roots," I said. "Customers who love you. A block that would notice if you vanished. They picked the wrong place to try this trick." She stared at me, then shook her head with a tiny smile. "Do you know how intense you sound when you talk like that?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "It works." She stood up. "Come on," she said. "You need real food, not just coffee and rage." She cooked that night, not from the menu. Grilled chicken, vegetables, rice, all simple and perfect. We sat at a back table while the other staff closed up around us. At one point, she reached across the table to brush a grain of rice off my sleeve. Her fingers paused on my forearm. The touch was small. My reaction was not. Our eyes met. Neither of us moved for a second that stretched too long. "Rebecca," I said. She pulled her hand back like she had been burned. "Closing time," she said, standing up too fast. "I have to finish payroll." The next day I woke up to 2 messages. One, from an unknown number. "City Council is holding a redevelopment hearing on our block Monday night. Saw the notice in the paper. They gave me 3 days, -R." The second was from a number I recognized as one of the ex-tenants. "You want proof on Pacific Vista? Check the campaign donations list for Councilman Reed. Then call me." By the time I got to the Dockside, Rebecca was already in the office with the newspaper spread out on the desk. Her hair was pulled back too tight. There were dark circles under her eyes. "They are rushing this through," she said. "If they vote Monday, that condo plan is real." "They think you will be too scared and tired to show up," I said. "Maybe they are right," she said, voice flat. I cannot fight a development company and the city. I am running a restaurant, Lucas. I am just one person. I dropped my bag and moved closer until I was right in front of her. You are not just one person, I said. You are the anchor of this block. You are the place people come after work, after school, after funerals. You are the reason half your staff has a job at all. She looked up at me. Her eyes were shiny again. That is a lot to put on my shoulders, she whispered. I am not putting it on you, I said. I am telling you what is already true. I reached out without thinking and put my hands gently on her shoulders. Look at me, I said. She did. If you want to walk away, I will help you pack, I said. If you want to sell, I will make sure you get every dollar you deserve. But if you want to fight, you do not do it alone. I will stand next to you in that council room and every room after. Her breathing changed, slower, deeper. You care too much, she said. Maybe, I said. Too bad, you are stuck with it. Something in her face softened, then broke. She stepped closer. My hands slid from her shoulders to her arms. She was right there, inches away. I could see the faint lines at the corners of her eyes, the tiny scar near her chin I had always wondered about. Rule check, she whispered. I remember, I said. No flirting. Her mouth twitched. This is past flirting, she said. She rose up on her toes and kissed me. It was not soft. It was not careful. It was a rush of heat and fear, and years of unsaid things. Her hands grabbed the front of my shirt. My hands slid to her waist, the office, the papers, the threat outside. All of it dropped away for one long, shaking moment. When she pulled back, her chest was heaving. Her fingers were still twisted in my shirt. Oh, God, she breathed. What did I just do? You kissed me, I said, voice rough. I liked it. She let go like I was made of fire. This is wrong, she said. You are younger. You are Tyler's best friend. You are my only line of defense in this mess. I cannot muddy that. I cannot muddy you. That is not what is happening, I said. It is exactly what is happening, she said, backing away until her legs hit the chair. She grabbed the edge of the desk like she needed it to stay upright. You should go, she said. I need to think. I took a breath that felt like it scraped my ribs on the way in. I will go, I said, but I am coming back Monday. Whether you want to fight or not, I will be in that room. She shut her eyes for a second. I do not deserve that, she whispered. Too late, I said. You have it. I picked up my bag and walked out of the office and out into the bright, busy restaurant. Plates clattered. People laughed. The world kept moving. Behind me, the woman I had wanted for half my life sat in a small office, caught between fear and something that looked a lot like the thing I had been carrying alone. Monday, the council would vote on her future, and I did not know if she would let me stand beside her when it happened. On Sunday night, my laptop screen glowed in the dark like a confession. Councilman Reed's campaign finance records were technically public. You just had to know where to look and have the patience to click through every boring PDF. My name is Lucas, and I get paid to drown in boring until the truth stands up and waves. Pacific Vista's name did not appear on the donation list. That would have been too easy. But 3 of its shell companies did. Clean, neat, maxed-out checks spread over the last 2 election cycles. Another donor name kept repeating too, small and polite, like it wanted to be overlooked. Mark Denton. He had given money right before each big redevelopment project. The dates lined up with every place those ex-owners had told me about. I called the bait shop guy who had texted me. You see it? He asked. Yeah, I said. I see it. They promised us we could stay, he said. Soon as the council signed off, we got notices on our doors. Reed said it was out of his hands. Would you say that to someone other than me? I asked. Thought you'd never ask, he said. By Monday night, I had a neat folder printed and a shaky little list of people who had agreed to back me up if this went where I thought it might. The council chamber sat above the main floor of City Hall with glass walls and bad lighting. When I walked in, the seats were half full. Business owners, board staff, a couple of reporters, regular citizens who did not yet know their block might be next. I scanned the crowd and found her. Rebecca sat in the middle row. Her hair was down, Waves brushed over her shoulders. She wore a dark green blouse and black pants, nothing flashy, but she looked like she belonged at the front of the room, not in the middle. When she saw me, something in her face flickered. Relief, fear, maybe both. I slid into the seat beside her. "You came," she said under her breath. "I told you I would," I replied. "We are still not okay," she said. "I know," I said. "We can be not okay later. Right now we have a problem to punch." Her mouth twitched, despite herself. "That is not how problems work," she muttered. "Watch me," I said. Councilman Reed called the meeting to order. The agenda was short. Some zoning change on the other side of town, then Item 4B, redevelopment application for coastal parcel block 17. Our block. Pacific Vista's lawyer went first. Slick suit, smooth voice, maps on the screen showing glossy renderings of mixed-use lifestyle space. He used phrases like revitalization and underutilized potential. On the map, the Dockside was a gray box labeled existing structure. Rebecca dug her nails into her folded hands. I put my hand on the edge of the folder in my lap to keep from putting it on hers. Reed glanced around. "Any public comment?" he asked. "Limited to 3 minutes each." Several people stood up. The hair salon owner, the guy from the surf shop, one of Rebecca's regulars. They talked about community, about small business, about how many years they had been there. Reed listened with the polite face of a man thinking about his next coffee. Then he looked at the list. "Rebecca Hart," he said, "the Dockside." Rebecca stood. For a second, I thought her knees might give. She straightened, rolled her shoulders back, and walked down the aisle to the microphone. I watched the council, watched their faces shift when they saw her. Some looked bored. One looked guilty. Reed looked mildly annoyed. "Ms. Hart, you have 3 minutes," he said. She nodded. "My name is Rebecca Hart," she said. "I own and run the Dockside on 4th and Ocean. My parents opened it 30 years ago. I have customers who have been coming in since before I was born. They bring their kids now." Her voice was strong. It came from her stomach, not from fear. She talked about the job she provided, the kids she had hired for their first work, the families who had celebrated birthdays and wakes and plain Tuesdays at her tables. "Losing my lease is not just me moving to another location," she said. "It is breaking a thread that holds this block together." I watched Reed's face. The annoyance deepened. He was ready with a speech about economic reality. I could see it forming. "So yes," Rebecca said, "I could talk about feelings, but I prefer facts." She looked up right at him. "And the facts say Pacific Vista is not just a landlord. They are a pattern. One that this council has helped draw." A murmur rippled through the room. Reed frowned. "Ms. Hart, accusations are not helpful," he said. "We are here to discuss zoning." "I am here to discuss how that zoning has been influenced," she said. She reached out behind her without looking. My heart jumped. I was already standing. I walked down with the folder and placed it in her hand. Our fingers brushed. The contact was simple. It felt like a fuse being lit. Rebecca opened the folder on the podium. "These are campaign donations to Councilman Reed for the last 2 election cycles," she said. "On the record. Public. Legal to view. 3 of them are from companies that share an address with Pacific Vista. Another set is from their property manager, Mark Denton." She turned a page. "These dates line up with redevelopment votes in Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Oceanside where other small businesses like mine were pushed out," she continued. "You approved those projects, Councilman. Shortly after, those donors got what they wanted." Reed's face went red, then pale. "That is public information," he said quickly. "There is nothing improper about campaign donations. I refuse to be slandered in my own chamber." Rebecca nodded. "I agree," she said. "Donations are legal. Patterns are not slander. They are just uncomfortable." She tapped the folder. "I also have statements from former tenants who were promised fair treatment and then given impossible rent hikes and 30-day notices," she said. "You can call them lying if you want. I brought their phone numbers so you can do it to their faces." The room was no longer polite, it was awake. People shifted forward in their seats. "Ms. Hart," Reed tried again, "you are over your time." "Then let me end with this," she said. "You can vote however you like tonight. You can approve this plan and pretend this is just business, but I will file this information with the city ethics office, the newspaper, and every small business association in this county. They will see the same pattern I do, and they will remember who voted to help it continue." She stepped back from the microphone. The room was dead quiet. For the first time since I had walked into that chamber, I saw something like fear cross Councilman Reed's face. "I move that we table item 4B pending further review," one of the other council members said, almost too quickly. "Seconded," another said. "All in favor?" Reed asked, voice flat. Hands went up, even his. He did not have a choice. "Motion carries," he said. "Item 4B is tabled." There was no cheer, just a release of breath from a lot of lungs at once. People turned toward Rebecca, several of them reaching out to squeeze her shoulder as she walked back up the aisle. She sat down beside me. Her hands were shaking. I covered them with mine for a second under the fold of her coat. "You did it," I murmured. Her eyes stayed on the council table. "You found the gun," she said. "I just pulled the trigger." "That was the hard part," I said. She turned her head, finally meeting my gaze. "Thank you," she said, "for giving it to me, for not taking the shot yourself." "That was never my job," I said. "I wanted them to hear it from you." She swallowed, eyes bright. "That scares me too," she said. We walked out into the cool night air. The building steps were crowded. People patted her back, told her they were proud, complained about landlords and politicians. She smiled, nodded, thanked them. I hung back, letting her have the spotlight. At the bottom of the steps she stopped and waited until the crowd thinned. Then she walked over to me. "You were right," she said. "I like how that sounds," I replied. "What about?" "I could not fight this alone," she said. "I did need you." "I told you that was a good thing," I said. She took a breath. "It is also dangerous," she said, "because now I know what it feels like to lean on you." "That is allowed," I said. "There is no rule against that." She gave a small, shaky laugh. "About the rules," she said, "I think I broke all of them." "You kissed me," I said. "I am fine with that violation." Her eyes softened. "Lucas," she said, stepping closer, "I am older. I have a son who calls you his brother. I have a business that is still hanging by a thread until the next meeting. Are you sure you want to add me to that mess?" Quote. "Yes," I said. No pause, no joke. "I am sure." She studied my face like she did when she read a recipe the first time. Serious, careful. "I do not want to be your secret," I added quietly. "Not a guilty thing you hide behind invoices and late-night texts. If this is real, it has to be real in the daylight too." Color rose in her cheeks. "You want to tell Tyler?" she said. "I want him to hear it from us," I said. "Not from somebody who sees us at a grocery store." She chewed her lip, thinking. "He will be back in a few weeks," she said. "We can wait," I said, "as long as you are not spending those weeks trying to pretend tonight did not happen." She took one more step closer. We were almost chest to chest now. The streetlight above us cast a soft halo over her hair. "I do not want to pretend," she said. "I have been pretending I am fine for years. I am tired." She lifted her hand and rested it against my jaw. Her thumb brushed the corner of my mouth. "Rule check," I whispered. She smiled. "New rule," she said. "You are allowed to kiss me when you mean it." I slid my hand to the small of her back and kissed her. This kiss was not desperate like the one in the office. It was deep and steady, like something we had both decided to stop running from. Her fingers curled in the collar of my shirt. I felt her relax into it, into me. When we broke apart, she rested her forehead against mine. "So you do like older women," she murmured, the same word she had used in the mall, but softer now. "Still interesting." "Only one," I said. "You." A week later, the Dockside threw a community thank you night. No cover, discounted beer, live music from a local band that played slightly off-key and somehow made it charming. The place was packed. People hugged Rebecca, slapped my back, told stories about nights at her tables. Tyler was there. He had flown in early. He pulled me aside near the bathrooms, his face serious. "Mom told me," he said. My heart tried to climb out of my throat. I am sorry, I started. I did not plan, it just... He held up a hand. Shut up, he said. You think I have not seen the way you look at her since we were like 16. I froze. You are not mad? I asked. He sighed. I was weirded out for about 10 minutes, he said. Then I remembered, you are the guy who kept me from flunking out of high school, and the guy who just helped my mom keep this place. If anyone is going to date her, it should be someone who actually cares. Quote, he clapped my shoulder hard. You break her heart, I break your face, he added. That is fair, I said, almost laughing with relief. He nodded toward the bar. Go stand next to her, he said. It looks right. So I did. I walked over to where Rebecca was pouring a drink, slid in beside her, and rested my hand at the small of her back. She glanced up at me, then at Tyler. He gave us a small nod and raised his beer in a toast. Rebecca's hand found mine. She laced our fingers together on the bar in full view of everyone. No hiding. No secrets. Scared? She asked quietly. A little, I said, but I like the view. She smiled, that slow, real smile that had hooked me when I was too young to name it. Get used to it, she said. I am not going anywhere. Neither was I.